You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to a special edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Saturday evening, September 27th. Iowa and Indiana just wrapped up a few hours ago, and it's the Hawkeyes with a heartbreaking loss to Indiana, 20-15, the final score. Of course, this is Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, also a simulcast of the Hawkeye Report podcast. And without further ado, what am I waiting for? Let's bring in the hardworking man himself, who's still at Kinnick Stadium slaving away. Are you in the radio booth again?
No, not in the radio booth, but I'm in I am in the college radio booth.
Oh, gotcha.
Not the Pat Anger booth.
Is he okay?
He'll be fine.
I hope so. It looks like he's taking this one hard. So everybody listening to this, obviously, thank you for watching. If you're watching Off the Air on YouTube or X or however you're watching or listening, and then of course our Hawkeye Report podcast listeners as well, Tommy. This one was a tough one. I think if you told Iowa fans they played well, they battled, and they came up just short to number 11 Indiana, some of them would be okay with it. The way things transpired, I look at this as the one that got away, Tom. Your thoughts, your headlines, as you look at the 20-15 loss to the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I think that's the same conclusion that I drew. Was this felt like a game that Iowa usually wins. They usually find a way, and you're sitting there in the fourth quarter going, yeah, they're going to find a way to win this one, despite everything. But it turned out to be like Ames. It felt like, Lucy took the football away again, and you end up whiffing on the kick, and just not kind of a metaphor for, I don't want to mean that towards Drew Stevens in any way, but just that it was right there to be taken tonight. And Indiana let you hang around, and you felt like Iowa was going to steal this one, and then they didn't. I kind of made the analogy to Indiana driving, and it was 13-all, and Lutmer gets that interception, and it made me feel like Tyler Sash running down the field in 08 against Penn State to set up that game-winning field goal, and then it just didn't happen. Then Drew misses 42-yarder. There was a chance to maybe get a first down there. I was coming down the tunnel, so you're going to have to talk about that play, Matt, because I have only got to watch it just briefly on a Peacock feed. That thard down screen pass to Amari Moulton that Hank Brown, and we should mention Hank had to come in the game because Mark Gronowski got hurt early in the fourth quarter on a 3-yard run and did not return. He came back. He was wearing his brace on his knee again, and you thought he was going to go out there, but then Kirk said he couldn't. Basically, they didn't feel comfortable with him stopping, so they didn't decelerating, I think was the word he used. So they didn't put him back out there, and they brought Hank in, and Hank had a couple drives. They did, they were set up, and if they get a first down on that play, they probably have a good chance to drain the clock, I think, and just set up a game-winning field goal. Of course, Drew missed the field goal, and some question about the snap, the hold, Drew's kick. Something seemed out of sync, but anyway. And then, of course, Indiana goes down. Iowa tries to bring a blitz. It doesn't get home. He finds Surratt, who gets away from the Iowa secondary, and 49 yards later, he's in the end zone, and that was pretty much ball game.
Yeah, Tom, you mentioned the play that you were coming down the elevator for and the ramp and everything. It was 3rd and 4 and a big possession, a big play. And credit Indiana. They started using their timeouts before the 2-minute warning, kind of forcing Iowa to – and I even said to my son, which was with me on the sidelines, I said, they got to get this first down, and the clock's going to stop regardless because of the 2-minute warning. So might as well throw the football. And they did. They set up a nice screen, and it kind of came to our side where Charlie and I were standing, and it was open. There was 2 linemen out in front, and if it's completed, I think it's a first down. It might be a touchdown, and then you can milk it down. Probably not a 42-yard field goal, but even a shorter field goal attempt, and you just kind of felt when Lutmer got that interception that this was it. This is exactly the way. I got down there probably in the second quarter at one point. And I was talking to somebody on the sidelines, and I'm like, this is a Kirk Ferentz special. This is going to be tied going into the fourth quarter, and Iowa's going to figure out a way to win the football game. And they just, as many times, you can't turn the ball over twice, which is what they did. 2 interceptions, and one of them cost them 7 points off the beginning. And then you can't give up that field goal at the end of the first quarter or the first half. Those little things kind of added up. You get hats off to the defense. I mean, they played really well. 2 fourth down stops to get the ball back in good field position. So a lot of really good things. And Tom, the recipe was right there. And I'm not that guy on social media that's going to start, bashing Hank Brown. That's a tough situation to come into. And everybody should understand that and get that. And I know it's next man up, and he won't use that as an excuse, but it's a tough situation to come into. And if you're Iowa, you got a backup quarterback in. I mentioned to Charlie at the time, I said, they're trying to get into field goal range. They weren't going to do anything crazy because they did have their backup quarterback in. I'll tell you this, the injury, it's kind of a dust statement, but it's the biggest thing that happened in this game. Did Iowa score a ton of points, Tom? No, but you felt like the offense was competent, moving the football, doing some decent things throughout the game. And you look at it, there were 2 instances that I thought, if Gronowski's in there, it was 2nd and 5, I think, after the Moulton 5-yard run after the interception. I think Iowa's running the football. They could, I could even see them running quarterback draw or running, just pounding 3 more yards 2 times, getting the first down and finishing the football game. So, yeah, it was right there. Right there, Tom. When Lutmer intercepts that pass, he's running right at myself and my son, and I'm just like, this is how it's going to finish. And I remember saying to Charlie, they gave the ball away twice, 2 interceptions. I said, Iowa needs to get one back. And they got it from Lutmer at the right time and everything. And it just didn't happen. A lot to dissect and break down. Tom, when you look at this too, and nobody's harder on themselves than Drew Stevens, but several people on the sidelines in the press box mentioned, it's almost like you feel more comfortable with him from 55 right now than you do from 40, which is strange. I don't know if you guys talked to, was he available after the game? And I guess what was Kirk Ferentz's, did Kirk have any thoughts of the missed field goal, or maybe what are your thoughts on what's going on in the kicking game right now? Cause it's really good. There's some really pluses, but it just seems to steal a Fran McCaffrey seems sideways right now, if that makes any sense.
It does. Well, Drew was not available to us after the game. Kirk was asked about Drew. Still got full confidence in him. So I don't think there's going to be any kicker change. And I know people are like, oh, we need a new kicker. And I'm like, Drew's pretty good. So he's just, here's the thing with Iowa football, because they play so many close games. you have to win in the margins. And Iowa did not perform well in the margins. Turnovers, special teams, those sorts of things were negatives for Iowa in this game. The only good thing that's going for special teams right now, I think their coverage units are doing okay. Caden Weegan is Tim Dwight, but the punting and kicking game right now is not functioning at a good level. And my own wonder is how much of this is related to the snappers. That's where my mind has gone, because Iowa was really fortunate the last couple of years to have Luke Elkin, who's on the practice squad for the Bears now, by the way, and a really good long snapper, one of the best in the country last year. And now they've got a redshirt freshman and a grad transfer who are handling those duties, and it hasn't been clean. Reese Decken got a punt partially blocked tonight, and thankfully they got a good roll out of it, 29 yards, but the protection hasn't been there. He's had a blocked punt and had one that had a piece of it. Is that his delivery that's been off and too slow? Maybe there's something to that, but he's also getting kind of caved in on this one side a couple times, more than once now. So they've got to address those issues. Drew's been inconsistent, but so have some of the snaps and getting the ball set. Ray Finkel laces out. It's just they've got to make sure all of those mechanisms are working correctly and on time for Drew to kick the football. So those are big things. Those little things add up. 2 interceptions tonight, or 2 interceptions, 2 turnovers for Iowa. You can't win tight, close games when you're getting picked off and you turn the ball over, especially early. I mean, you're in a 7-0 hole.
Yeah.
Thanks to a tip ball that's an interception. You can't really control tip balls, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
You gotta take care of the football, and that set up a short field. 2 plays later, 7-zip, and you're like, oh no, this is a problem.
It's funny, Tom, because you looked at X and that's what everyone in the press box was posting, including myself. It was a nightmare start.
Here we go.
Iowa. I mean, it was, and one, like, I'm a big proponent, I think, and I don't know what Kirk would have done. I don't know if they would have gone with taking the ball early, but I'm a big proponent of deferring, taking second half, all those kind of things. But you don't get the ball. You get the ball first. 2 plays, you turn it over. 2 plays, they score a touchdown, and you're like, it couldn't, like, this is the, oh no, here we go. I thought they did a good, Tom, they couldn't run the football early in the game, and they got the ball, they started winning the line of scrimmage, I want to say second quarter, but second, third quarter, they really started moving the football. The defense played really well. It's funny because I had people say to me, like, I thought Indiana would throw the ball all over the place, but that's Indiana. They've rushed for 300 yards or whatever it is in so many games. I mean, they've been really good on the ground, and they were good in this game to a point as well. But you looked up in the fourth quarter, and there were the stats of Gronowski and help me. Why am I drawing a blank?
Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza.
And they were very similar. And I'm like, man, if you look at this, like, they're both, and the stats at one point, I don't know what ended up, was very similar when it came to rushing yards, passing yards, total yards, all those kind of things. But back, I guess, to the first quarter and into the second quarter, kind of talk about that, because hats off to the Hawkeyes. It couldn't have started any worse. So I look at the first half, Tom, that if you take away the first 4 plays and the last 3 plays, Iowa's up 10-0 at the half. And I know you can't do those kind of things, but started bad, ended bad in the first half. And those are 2 things that, coaches talk about: quick starts, finishing strong. Those are 2 really big situations that hurt the Hawkeyes early in the first half.
Here's a frustration, and this was asked in the postgame, was Iowa's tackling on defense. Yeah, the defense played great. They really did. But a 16-yard run right after Iowa scores a touchdown. Some poor tackling. Let's be honest. It was just, they didn't wrap up, and 16-yard gain. And then there's a 16-yard pass and a 15-yard penalty tacked on for a late hit. Now, you can say Fernando Mendoza deserves an Emmy or an Oscar or whatever you want to give him, a Tony Award, whatever you want to give him for the acting job that he did when Kenneth Merriweather barely touched him.
It was a bad
But
call,
you
but it
just-
is what it is.
It was a bad call, but it is what it is. The quarterbacks are protected, and you can't hit them. That's just how this works. So you can't touch them, and they got the call, and that was that. And Iowa was without, and Iowa gave up a field goal when they shouldn't have. They should have been able to get off the field, get that, go to the break at 10-7. Instead, you suck a little momentum away from your team going into halftime that you had after that 3-yard touchdown run by Gronowski. So it's just, boy, there's just, and I get why Iowa fans are upset, because they're frustrated. They're really frustrated with this. This one really stunk. And now Iowa has lost 11 straight games to ranked opponents. And you thought that monkey was climbing off the back tonight. You really did. I mean, in the fourth quarter, you felt like, I felt like, boy, they're going to win this game. They're going, I had it down to the field because I thought I was going to watch them milk the clock down. Drew Stevens drills a field goal, and everybody's happy, and Kinnick's going crazy, and then it didn't. It didn't happen that way. The script that I was reading changed before my very eyes because of a missed field goal, and then a defense. Phil had to be aggressive. It paid off at one point with the Lutmer interception, and then it got taken away a few plays later when Surratt gets away and off to the races he goes.
Yeah, Tom, you look at it and you talk about a script. It wasn't something they had to, Iowa fans didn't have to like imagine it and conjure it up and figure it out. Like the script was there. Like you're watching the movie and you expect it to finish a certain way because it was that way. And then it's just the ultimate twist at the end. Like you give me Drew Stevens with 2 minutes to go hitting a 42-yarder, I'll take it every single day. And I'll say this, I mean, I think and again, no ill will towards Hank Brown or anything like that. And I think he's got a good future, and you're the mayor of Hank Tank Island or whatever it is. So it's not that, but I think with Mark Gronowski,
the Hank Brown bandwagon,
the way Mark Gronowski has grown with this offense and the way they were playing and those guys up front, I think it gets to a point where you're setting up for a field goal with 3 seconds left. Like, I don't even think it's with 2+ whatever it was left in the game. So I think that injury is huge. I guess we should talk. I read some stuff afterwards, but heck, you were in the press conference. Thoughts from Kirk Ferentz on Mark Gronowski. Now we go into a bye week, and then Iowa heads up to Wisconsin. Thoughts, early reaction, early thoughts on the injury to Mark Gronowski. And Tom, I'll say this. I'm standing right down there on the sidelines, and I thought for sure he was going back in. Like I did. He was running and he was throwing the football a little bit. And it took 2 plays before my son said to me, "Dad, you know Hank Brown's in, don't you?" I'm like, "No, he's not." And then I looked at cell number 9. I'm like, "Hey, dang, you're right." So anyways, thoughts from Kirk Ferentz, or what do you know about the injury to Mark Gronowski?
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot more other than he came back out of the tent. He was wearing a brace on his knee. He went out there and he warmed up, and I thought for sure he was going back in. I was like, oh, okay. Looks like Mark's going back in. He threw a few passes, moved around. And then the next thing I know, I look out and I see Hank back out there throwing. I'm like, oh, hold the phone. Looks like Hank is going to go in now. And I saw Mark go over to Hank and kind of say something to him. And I was like, oh, Hank is going in. Because he wouldn't be behaving that way unless that was what was happening. And then Mark went to the sidelines and Hank went to the huddle, and he was out there. And so we don't know a lot about the nature of Mark's injury. I assume it is a knee issue because they put the brace back on him. And Kirk seemed fairly positive that it was not something serious, but I'm going to assume that the thing that troubled me was if you saw his instant reaction, he kind of pounded the ground a little bit, and that's usually a signal that I feel like maybe something's wrong. And remember, Mark had taken that brace off after the first game of the year. He wore it during the Albany game, and I think he kind of felt like he was slow or inhibited a little bit. So he played without it since the Iowa State game, and now he's got it back on, and wonder if he'll keep that back on. But I'm going to assume they're going to do an MRI just to kind of check things out to make sure everything is solid there. But Kirk seemed relatively positive based on the feedback that he's gotten from the trainers. They wouldn't have put the brace back on him and had him go out there and kind of warm up and feel what it felt like if they knew that if he was structurally damaged there, they wouldn't have let him do those things. So I think maybe bullet dodged, but we'll have to see. I assume MRI coming, tomorrow, Monday, and the good news is they don't have to play for another week. So we'll see where he's at.
You mentioned it, Tom, when he started pounding the ground. To me, it was, damn it, I know what this is, if that makes any sense. It was like one of those, like, it's this, like when you, and you and I are both obviously high level athletes, but
great athletes,
like, yeah,
great
athletes.
When
you like have a sprained ankle when you're younger and you did it again, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, God, I know exactly what this is. And it's just more frustration of that than anything else.
It's like, many moons ago, I tore my ACL in my right knee. And if I tore my ACL again, I would know exactly what that felt like. You just you know that memory. Yep. And that's what I worried about, was like, oh my gosh, he's torn it before. Maybe he's feeling that exact same thing right now. And I was like, oh boy, that's bad. That's not good. But, he was able to get up, go off the field. They're just, Jaden Harrell left the game for a bit, and Jade Montgomery went in there. Who else left? Dunker was out for at the end. Bo Stevens came out and then
came back in.
Yeah.
I remember
so those guys,
there.
Jaden Harrell and Bo came. And then, but the Dunker, I assume it's probably his hydration stuff where he gets cramped up, because that's kind of what's troubled him. And it was a muggy, warm almost October evening, late
weird.
September evening. Yeah.
Now, Tom, I want a couple other things I want to hit on for sure is, and you mentioned the injuries. I remember sitting there going, gosh, thank God there's a bye next week, because guys are getting dinged up. But you look at this Indiana team, and we talked about, all week the firepower they have on offense, and they score at will. And I've read 57 minutes without allowing Indiana to score a touchdown. And we got to talk about this defense, because everyone last week, 8 days ago on Friday at Rutgers, after the first half at halftime, were ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater and what's going on. They played extremely well. They made big plays when they needed to. They weren't getting those takeaways until late in the game when they got the Lutmer interception. Excuse me. I've been talking too much today and this week. What did you see about the defense that you loved? It was a really good performance from what's becoming a really solid defense once again in Iowa City.
Yeah, I liked their aggressiveness. I liked that Phil brought pressure. I thought it was effective pressure. I asked Lutmer about that, and he said it really wasn't in the game plan, but then they just kind of adjusted quickly and realized they had to get in Mendoza's face, so they did. And he was coming off the edge a lot. I like some of the stuff straight up the gut with Wampa, and they did that with Jaden Montgomery on one play. Jaden Harrell did it when he was out there too. So at like those, and Carson Shire was coming every once in a while at the quarterback on those blitzes. So you saw it from a variety of different angles. But if you play with fire, Scarecrow, you're going to get burned sometimes, and that's kind of what happened at the end. You just kept blitzing, and you had to, but because I think Mendoza would have picked him apart. But it just, he had one play and got away, and that's all it took to make it 20-13. Then we had the weird ending with it, with them scrambling backwards and running into the end zone and taking the safety, which was interesting. Just interesting. But anyway,
Tom, was that negative rush yards?
I thought the defense, but no, I looked on his stat sheet and it wasn't.
How is it not? Is it a sack?
I know,
is
it
it
should
just
be.
like a? Either way, it's like, and I'm not doing anything like that, especially on the college level. But there are markets in which you can do.
Yeah,
those
because
kind of
college. Yeah, because I looked immediately. I was like, oh, was that negative rush yards? And they're like, no, they marked it as team minus 49 or minus 40.
Interesting.
So marked it as a team rush minus 40.
I don't know if I love Tom.
I'm still worried about the tackling though, because I think as well as Iowa played, the tackling was just, it's not been great this year. It's just not.
No, I would agree. I don't love the usage of timeouts. The stuff at the end was weird, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to give out a few game balls.
Yeah,
because
Kirk did not. It was odd management with the clock, I thought.
Yeah, I did too. And like, we'll go back. You look at it. It was 4th and 10, and Hank just missed a guy in the middle of the field. It was a tight end. I can't remember who it was. But that was a
DJ
chunk.
Boname.
Yeah, it was a chunk play, and it was right there. And now you have 20 seconds at the 25 with 3 timeouts, and things get a little interesting. But with that being said, we got some game balls to give out. I want to look big picture with you real quick, Tom, on obviously the bye week, resetting goals if you reset them, and kind of moving forward. We're going to take a quick break, pay a few bills, and then we'll be back in less than 2 minutes with Tom Kakert live in the Kinnick Stadium press box as we kind of recap and look back at the Iowa 20-15 loss to Indiana. We'll be back right after this. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfathers is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, a special post edition of the show with the Hawkeyes losing to Indiana 20-15, your final. If you are listening to this and the OTA form of things, we're going to talk about the Illini in a little bit, kind of recap that in Iowa State. But right now, we're doing a simulcast right now. This will also be a Hawkeye Report podcast. And if you're doing a Hawkeye Report podcast, you know you got to have the man himself, Tom Kakert, still working hard at the Kinnick Stadium press box as Iowa falls to Indiana 20-15, your final score. Tom, I do have to mention real quick the Hawkeye Tailgate show that we had on the pregame show for the Hawkeye Radio Network, a ton of fun. Dan McCarney, I could listen to him talk
Fired up,
forever.
man.
Like I was
He
ready to
fired
rock
up.
and roll. That was a bunch of fun. I know you got a chance to maybe say
In
hi
fact-
to him. He's worth
Yeah.
the price of admission.
He is, and TJ Hall even brought him up. He goes, yeah, the guy that talked to us on Friday before the game, he got us going. Dan, and I go, McCarney, and he goes, yeah, he was great. He's one of the best speakers we've ever had.
Yeah, he said
So-
he talked to. It was great. I said, you talked to the guys for a half hour, and about 30 seconds, tell me what you said. And he, I think, spent 3 minutes telling me what he said. So great to. And if you missed the Hawkeye Tailgate show, want to go check it back out, you can go to Hawkeye Radio Network on YouTube and check it out. Pat was on there. Jackson Rexroth, Tom Kakert, Rick Coleman, a cast of stars from everywhere.
Cavalcade of stars.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Some of the best looking people you've ever seen.
Man, I tell
Me and
you,
Rick Coleman.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyways, kind of want to maybe talk about a few more things before I let you go. I know you got some work to do and all those kind of things. Looking big picture, a bye week, and then a trip to Wisconsin. They're a dumpster fire up there, but it's Wisconsin. It's on the road. It's never easy. I had a lot of people saying to me like, you lose this game and it gets slippery and it gets tough and all those kind of things. Do you readjust things? I think, again, and I'm going to try to spin it a little more positive, and I get the frustration, everyone. I get the frustration, but Iowa's lost 2 games to 2 top 15 ranked teams by a score. I mean, it's not like they've gotten blown out or embarrassed. I get the struggles and the certain things that fans are frustrated with. I get that. But how do you reevaluate? We get to these breaks and it's a bye week. They're 3-2, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Where are you at with this team and maybe what do they need to do moving forward in order to, I don't want to say salvage a season, but get the most out of this season as they can?
I think one thing that jumps out at you in the 2 losses, they've scored 13 and 15 points. It's tough to win against good competition when you're scoring in the teens and having to live on your defense. So you've got to figure out how to generate more offense, get more points on the board. I think that's going to be important moving forward for this team, is to just find a way to amp up the offense. And I think they'll get there. They've shown signs. The Rutgers game, they showed signs of being able to score more points and develop more of a passing game and continue to enhance the run game. But I think that's probably one of the big things. The other thing they're going to have to figure out in this bye week was what's going on with the special teams and some of the faux pas. But Drew Stevens is a really good kicker. I was witnessed by, he hits a 54-yarder and a 40-yarder tonight in this game. So, he's capable. But why has he had these just kind of erratic, unexplained misses? And is it something in the process there? And Reece Staken's had his share of issues as well. And how do you fix those things? I think those are some of the things, and they've got to get better at tackling. They just do. That would make a huge difference in a defense that's already, I think, very good. But they've got to figure out how to win in the margins. And right now they haven't won two games because they didn't win those games in the margins. And so that's going to be the task. And they've got an interesting stretch coming up. They get the bye week, then they go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin is scuffling right now. And then they get Penn State. Last I checked, Penn State was losing. Small game James has showed up again in Happy Valley. Yeah. We'll see if they can come back and tie it or whatever. But, James Franklin living up to his reputation. And then the Goph and PJ Fleck come to town. So you've got those, and then you got another bye week, I think, after that. So
and then I think
you
it's
got
Oregon.
a nice little stretch here. Yeah, and then Oregon after that. So they've got Oregon, USC, Michigan State, Nebraska. There's your stretch. So that's your how you finish up. So you've got to figure out a way to win some of these games in the margin, because none of them are easy. There's no layups. There's no easy games. Like Michigan State beat them last year. Minnesota is very capable of beating Iowa. Wisconsin, it's in Madison.
There's a trip to USC ahead, and they're ranked. I know they lost to Illinois today, but they're ranked, and you go out there. So, absolutely.
And they're putting up points. Yeah, they're giving up points, but they're putting up points. So, and that's something Iowa hasn't done consistently against good opponents, is put up points. So they've got to figure out how to generate more offense, clean up the special teams, and get better at tackling.
I think, Tom, you look at the first part of this season, and there's a lot of pluses. The offensive line is really good. The defense has played well, take away the Rutgers first half, and they've played well, starting to get more turnovers. I think, like you mentioned, the special teams can be really good, and then there's been points that it's been a struggle and been bad. So a lot of different things you can look at. I'll tell you this, like wide receiver wise, and we've talked about it on the show before. There's plays being left out there. We've talked about drops. A lot of footballs off hands today. A lot of balls deflected in the air and all those kind of things. But I think this team misses Reese Vanderzee. I think they really do. I think they need that big target that can, and obviously Addison Ostrenga is somebody that's been missed as well, but you get Reese Vanderzee back, I assume, and you know more than I do, but I think the goal is Wisconsin, he maybe makes his return. They need playmakers at wide receiver, and I know yourself, Chad Leistikow, Scott Docterman, myself, a lot of people before the season talked about like that position and the depth in that position. Somebody's got to stand up and be the guy and be a dude. And so I think that's what I look at after the bye week is which one of these younger wide receivers or just wide receivers in general can start making bigger plays, more consistent plays. I think there's been big plays. We can go through the season and there's been big plays and nice plays made, but there's inconsistencies as well. So I think that's my thing coming out of the bye week is let's see. And I think Reese Vanderzee makes a big difference, hopefully makes a big difference with that offense as well. You spend some time in with Kirk Ferentz, players, all those kind of things. Clear out the notebook. Is there anything we need to know when it comes to post-game stuff, what you talked to, who you heard from, anything catch your ear before we kind of wrap up the Iowa segment of things right now?
Not really. I should mention Seth Anderson didn't play tonight. He was in uniform. He was on the sidelines. I think he did some pregame stuff, but again, he was dealing with the ankle issue, and it looks like he couldn't go full speed. So they had to sit him out, and he's one of those dynamic guys down the field that could help him. But credit to Dayton Howard, by the way, he stepped up and made a big play last week. Had 2 catches for 21 yards in this game, so he did a nice job. I thought DJ Vonneman did a nice job. They found something in the middle of that zone that Indiana was playing, and they just kind of picked it apart. Gill had some good catches on the outer edge of that zone as well. So, and Sam Phillips continues to, I think, really impress, as does Caden Weegan. Guys are stepping up, but you're right, getting Vandersea back, getting Seth Anderson healthy after the break. Then you're going to have all of your weapons. You get Jazz Patterson back. You get Xavier Williams back. Boy, the offense could be better, and you might see more points if those guys are all healthy and you've got all the tools in the toolkit that are available to you. And hopefully that will be after the bye week, and you get ready for Madtown and a struggling Badger team, and you can get a win up there, get your confidence back. That's the one thing you wish they could have gotten this win and it's a different feel going up to Madison, where you could be looking at 5-1 with Penn State coming to town, and instead now you're 3-2, you might be 4-2, and it just feels different. It really does. So tough one. Let one get away.
Yeah,
This one felt like it's like you had them. It's like the fish you hooked, but it got off your hook and you just let it get away.
And we mentioned you sold the fish. The fish was right there. You're ready to bring it into the boat, and then it flailed away. So I will say this. I think Iowa would have been ranked, obviously, if they win this game. And I think that, it's not the end-all, be-all, and trust me, the coaches don't care. I think it's a fan base thing. I have Iowa fans in my family that were like, hey, it's been a while since it's been ranked and all those kind of things. So yeah, it's the one that got away. It's one we'll talk about throughout the week. We'll have much more coming up on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on Monday. We'll most likely be talking to Pat Angerer. We'll talk to Tom during the week as well. And kind of, it's a bye week. We can what we just did here, where we can kind of look back at that first 5-game chunk of the season and what went right, what went wrong, what needs to be improved, all those kind of things. So if you're watching this on Off the Air, we're going to talk a little Illinois football. We're going to talk about Iowa State and kind of put things to rest. If you're one of the Hawkeye Report podcast listeners, thank you for listening. Tommy's got a bunch on the site, and you guys are rocking and rolling as well with all those kind of stuff as well, aren't you, Tommy?
Yeah, we got a busy week ahead too, even the bye week, but we'll get coordinators on Tuesday, so we'll get to talk to Tim Lester, Phil Parker, and LeVar Woods, and there's certainly questions for all three of them regarding this team and the rest of this season.
All right, well, that'll wrap up the Hawkeye Report podcast. If you're watching OTA, stick and stay. We'll have much more, including a look at the Illini bouncing back in a big-time way. That right after the break on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470. and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Saturday in the Quad Cities, a special college football post-game edition of OTA. Just wrapped up with Tom Kakert. He's still in Iowa City. Tough loss for the Hawkeyes. They fall on homecoming 20-15. Really good football game. Opportunities for the Hawkeyes to get that signature win, but not enough on this day. And the Hawkeyes fall to 3-2 on the season, 1-1 in the Big Ten. The news of the day was the big noon kick on Fox. It was a tough week for Illini Nation. A lot of people wondering, questioning. I mean, we talked with Jim Atson on the show earlier this week, and he said people want to know if Illinois is a fraud. And they lost 63-10 to Indiana last week, and he thought, man, maybe they are. And boy, did they respond. And Scott Docterman mentioned on the show that, you know, if Brett Bielema learned anything from Kirk Ferentz, it's hopefully how to bounce back from something like what happened last week. They bounced back nicely. Illinois played really good. I'm holding USC to 32 points, and I say that and you know, think 32 points is a lot of points. They're averaging like 45, 50 points a game, something outrageous. So the defense played much better. And it's Illinois building a lead. They led 31-17 at one point. I got done with the Hawkeye pregame show, went up to the press box, grabbed some food, and kind of watched the second half of the Illinois game and gave it back. 15 straight points from USC, including a controversial fumble in the process of all that, which we'll talk about on Monday on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. And so suddenly Illinois found themselves trailing with just under 2 minutes to go, 32-31, and they get a great drive, get the ball in field goal range, and get the game-winning field goal to celebrate at Memorial Stadium. David Olano making that field goal, his second field goal of the day. Illinois wins 34-32, and it's a great bounce-back victory if you look at it for the Fighting Illini who didn't play well last week, but you look at the offensive line, completely different. I mean, that was my biggest concern with Illinois was that offensive line, and they played so much better. They ran the football better. They protected Luke Altmaier, which is important. Altmaier 20 for 26, over 300-yard passing, 328, 2 touchdowns throwing. He also caught one. Hank Beatty had him for a 3-yard touchdown. So Illinois' offense looking a lot better. They ran for 171 yards. That's the offense and the balance that I think they want, kind of similar to Iowa City in Champaign, and they got that. The defense playing much better as well. I questioned and worried about the health of the secondary. They played really well considering how many points USC does score. It was a nice day for Matthew Bailey, Moline's own. 5 tackles, 4 solos, 1 tackle for loss. So he played really well. Miles Scott, fantastic. 10 tackles, a tackle for loss, 7 solos. So Illinois gets that victory. And I wanted to look at, I saw it earlier. This is amazing to me. Illinois football wins against AP top 25 ranked teams from 2008 to 2023. So those 15 years, three times they beat a ranked pro. Since 2024, 5 times Brett Bielema and the Illini have beaten a ranked foe. So great scene in Memorial Stadium, a signature victory for Illinois. They can now kind of get back on track. I will say this. I had people say, hey, the college football playoffs are still out there. And yes, if Illinois runs the table, that's a possibility. But that 63-10 is going to be tough to, like, if they lose a game more or 2, I mean, it's going to be tough. And there's a tough schedule still ahead, but hats off the Illini. They get the job done. They now go to Purdue, maybe a little sandwich game after the emotional victory this week, and then Ohio State on the horizon. But hats off to Illinois. Cole Rusk with a catch, 17-yard catch in the game as well, when you look at the local standouts in the game as well, when you talk about our Quad City area and all those kind of things. So Illinois with the 34-32 victory. I know one person that's smiling from ear to ear is our good friend Ked Prince, or one of our Illini experts. We're going to catch up with Ked on Monday. The Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on Mondays are always interesting this time of year, and they should be coming up on Monday as well. So we'll talk to Ked on Monday, hopefully, and kind of break down a huge victory for Illinois, what it means moving forward and all that kind of stuff. But congrats to the Illini improving to 4-1 in the season, 1-1 in Big Ten play with a victory over number 21 USC. I had somebody complaining to me today saying, I can't believe they rushed the field. Shut up. One, it's a ranked foe. Two, it's college football. And they just got their asses kicked last week. And they turned around and they beat a ranked foe. Shut up. Let kids be kids. It's college football. Just don't be that person that's it shouldn't only be a top 5 team or they didn't just have fun. It's college football. Okay, that's my little rant for the post show. We also want to mention, I think it just got final. We're taping this around, what time is it anyways? 8:40 so if you're watching this later, it's 8:40 on Saturday evening. I do think Iowa State is final, and they were impressive once again. 36-14. It's 36-14 with 47 seconds left to go. It is final. 39-14 the final score. Iowa State coming off the bye is now 5-0 in the season. Rocco Beck looked good, 14-20, 243. Didn't throw a touchdown. Did have an interception, but the Iowa State doing a really good job on the defensive side of things. Got a couple of interceptions, made some big plays on defense as well. Comes into a 39-14 victory in a game against Arizona that line, that spread got to like 3.5 before the game. So a lot of people, including the quote unquote pros on Arizona going in. Iowa State doing their job, taking care of business, 39-14, the final once again in that one. I will mention, I did want to check this out. Let me look. Chase Smith from North Scott, 4 for 4 from extra points, and did make a 34-yard field goal. So hats off to the freshman from North Scott, filling in for Kyle Conrade, and doing a good job. Freshman from North Scott, Chase Smith. Hats off to him. So we'll have much more on the Cyclones this week. We usually do Wednesday with Jake Brand. I know there's, I believe, Iowa State men's basketball day. I can't remember what it was, but for some reason, Wednesday was going to be funky. So we may move him up to Tuesday and talk about the Cyclones, now 5-0 in the season as well. So it was a fun college football Saturday. I'm looking at some other scores real fast. I know that the Ohio State-Penn State game, which a lot of people are watching right now, it is Oregon up 17-10, 4th and 1 for Penn State at the 21-yard line. That's coming down to the wire. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Talk about that on Monday. I do know Georgia and Alabama going head-to-head as well. I'm trying to figure out there we go. Alabama leading in the fourth quarter 24-21, but I believe they're about ready to give the ball back to the Bulldogs. Anyways, a lot of great college football action. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a great Friday night of high school football. Hope you guys checked out View from the West podcast, the Instant Reacts pod. If you haven't, go check that out. Some marquee signature victories, Rock Ridge, Monmouth, Roseville, Moline. A lot to get to this week. We'll talk all about it coming up on Monday on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. And then the NFL takes center stage tomorrow. We'll see if the Bears can win their second straight, go on the road to Vegas and get a victory. We'll talk about my beloved Lions. And, of course, Micah Parsons returns to Dallas on Sunday Night Football. So we will have a lot to get to. We're doing it 5 days a week, 10 a.m., 5 days a week. If you're not following on social media, on X, or subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. A lot of content, having a bunch of fun doing it. Thank you to everybody I saw in Iowa City today that stopped by. My one of my mentors, my professor Duke Snyder, swung by and said hi as well. So it was a fun day in Iowa City. Not the result we wanted for the Hawkeyes, but it'll be an interesting season the rest of the way. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to take a day off tomorrow and not talk about anything and spend some time with my boys. Happy birthday to my son, Charlie. He turned 16 today. Got to take him up to Iowa City. Helpful during the radio show. He's such a good kid. Helpful with that. And then took him inside, and we had an absolute blast. So a fun way for me to spend his 16th birthday than with the guy that made me a dad, the kid that made me a dad, my oldest, Charlie. So happy birthday, Chuck. Love you. Appreciate you. And we're going to spend the day tomorrow doing some fun stuff, hopefully watching the Lions win a game as well. So thank you guys for joining us, for checking out the extra post show, college football post show. We appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsors as always. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the NFL tomorrow. And we will talk to you guys all on Monday, 10 a.m. Check out, put it onto YouTube, subscribe, all those kind of things. Make plans to join us 10 a.m. On Monday. Have a great weekend, Quad Cities. We'll see you then.